Okay, as a follow-up to the concept of building and laying out without actually measuring, we're going to go through a bunch of stuff today, and it has to do with the back and the top. Let's start with the back. So I might have mentioned in another video, I really don't measure anything out. I make jigs. I love Baltic birch plywood. Again, I got this from building speaker cabinets, and it just really machines well. So you can see how we've laid out where the back bracing goes. This is actually a radius ditch. This is not Baltic birch. This is cheap old stuff, but it got radius at one point in time, and I still use it to this day. So you can see there's some gap in here, but it does get radius down. So the bracing is actually radius off of my radius jig. I'll just show you that real quick. This one I made out of Baltic birch. So there's a radius jig, homemade. You guys can figure out how to do that one yourselves. Braces are radiused, everything radiused. So what we're going to get away from is, I got away from using a gold bar deck just because it takes too much space. And I tried to justify the use of a gold bar deck, and I could figure it out. The reason I would use a gold bar deck is it actually glues down nicely when you pre-shape your bars or your braces. Well, I no longer pre-shape the bars or braces. I glue them in flat, mark them out, lay them down. I actually use this as well too when I glue it in, and it doesn't stick because we don't over glue. And I will actually, from here, once they're all laid out, I can actually put a piece of wood. It's a little bit proud, and squeeze it in. Cam clamps, have a nice day. All right. I can use any manner of clamps on this thing, squeeze it in, and once that's glued down, I'll actually put in these center strips. Crosses a little later. This one is radius as well too. Sorry, this way. And this will go in on top of that, and you can see how when you press it in, glue it down, and that gets glued in. So I use plywood in place of gold bar deck. Gold bar deck for me just took a whole lot of space, and I like using clamps, and I can clamp down a whole lot of pressure on it. By the way, I didn't clean up any glue squeeze out on any of this, so you can see how actually clean it is. All right, that's the back and the radius. Right there. Let's put that on the side. Let's talk about the top for a little bit. So this one gets a little bit more complex, but same concept. Might have shown this earlier. I'll put this in here, mark out. There's actually a bridge patch location right here where I mark out where the bridge patch goes. I don't actually use this to glue in. You can take a guess. Leftover Baltic birch plywood. So top brace, we'll use this. Got rid of my gold bar deck, clamp. At the same time, I like to use cauls. I don't like to clamp straight on braces or bridge patches, and they don't move when you do this. So once again, I can clamp right there. Once that's done, it doesn't take a whole lot, a long time. Take that off. I'll even mark out where the sound hole brace goes. This is actually the exact size of the sound hole brace and where it goes. I used to do a ring, but for my purposes, I like doing this brace. And none of these are carved. The only one that's carved right now is the upper and lower cross braces. Of course, I'll do that before everything else is glued on, because I'll go ahead and take a mini plane and I'll start shaping it this way, and then it'll be shaped by hand, and we carve these out later on. Once those two are glued on, same day, you know, it doesn't take long because you're not going to carve them that day. I'll lay out. You might have seen this. Here's my fan brace caul, but I also use it to mark out. I not only use it to mark out where the fan braces go, I also use this too. Go ahead and glue down the fan, or clamp down the fan brace. Again, no gold bar deck, manner of cam clamps, whatever clamps you want, all one time. Now, one thing I did, you know, on this one, because the bracing goes over the bridge patch over here, you know, that took a little while. So let's not quite automate it a little bit. Let's grab a jig. Should actually have this set up for you guys, but that's okay. We'll just put it right here. Anyway, once again, scrap. I just cut out some stuff, some slots in here, where we'll go ahead and place in, grab some bracing for you guys. Go ahead and lay out some bracing for you here. And the bracing goes in. I'll measure the depth of the sound hole brace. This one's a little tight. Use a router, plunge router, and just come right up here. And that's all by hand. I used to do it by hand, but why do it by hand when I can just build a simple jig like this and do it with a router, and everything comes out super even and super fast. So again, once the bracing is all done, notched, ready to go, come on here, and we use, it's actually called a caul. We use cauls to clamp down. Now, I already mentioned this. There's a center line here. So actually mark out where the sound hole brace goes with this. Eyeball the top and bottom, not that difficult. And it's all glued down. By using cauls like this, I got completely rid of the gold bar deck. Saved up a whole lot of space, and everything gets clamped in a small area, small footprint. High pressure, obviously, and however much clamping pressure you want. And these cam clamps, by the way, I made my own, just because I'm cheap. 1 inch by, I think it's 1/8 inch steel, drilled, and there's plans on the internet for this stuff. Poplar, probably use some maple. Surprise, I did not use Baltic birch plywood at the time, but I think I might make some more out of it, just because it's going to machine very well out of 3/4 inch plywood. Alright guys, that was it. Got rid of the gold bar deck. And yes, I will move into vacuum clamping, which I actually have a vacuum clamping set up. I actually use it for the bridge, which is nice. Oh, by the way, I put a little finish on this already, so when I do a little glue up, I was finishing other instruments. But I saw a friend of mine over at one of the factories. He just lays out all the bracing, drops the vacuum jig on it, vacuum clamps, and then done. All right.